Hey everyone, if you haven't noticed, the last couple videos I've been in the same shirt. It's because I did all the videos within like the same time frame. So buckle up for this video because I'm gonna try to keep it as shortened as possible. But this is the birth story of our daughter Addalyn and my first rainbow baby. We got pregnant with her after 2 losses in the first trimester. And she's absolutely beautiful and hilarious and amazing. And every mother's dream for like a little girly girl. She loves to dance. She loves to like sing, and it's amazing. And she's she'll be 2.5 in June. So she's almost 2.5. By the time her brother comes, he's due in like less than a week. So I am 39.5 weeks and possibly may have to be induced with him. So I wanted to talk about my daughter's birth story because we were induced with her. She hung on as long as you possibly could as a baby in the womb. So we're going to start with her due date was December 1st, 2016. She was born December 13th, 2016. So she did not come on December 1st, obviously. She decided to hang as long as she could. But she was doing great in the womb. All my non-stress tests were fine. So the doctor felt that we should wait till I was 41 weeks before inducing. I had a birth plan. My birth plan was if I went into natural labor, I was going to get epidural. That was on my birth plan. Just nice lighting with nice soft music in the background, which I had gotten none of that at the hospital I delivered at. I was also told that he would deliver me. And again, I did not get that either. So what they did not tell me, it was going to be whatever doctor was on call. They wouldn't attempt to call my doctor to deliver me. It would just be whatever doctor was on call at that hospital. So, and he also did not go over the birth plan very well with me because I had just wanted to do Pitocin and an epidural and have the baby if I had to be induced. And if for some reason I had to have a C-section, then that would have been the last resort. So it did not go that way at all. So I was scheduled for an induction. You go on a waiting list. You wait till a bed is available. I went on a waiting list on the 8th, the day after my 41st week. And I was called the following day on the 9th in the evening. I had just had a big dinner with my parents because they wanted to get me out of the house, get my mind off of the fact that I hadn't had a baby yet and the hospital hadn't called me yet. They wanted to take me out and treat me. And we were literally, is down the street from the hospital that we were going to. And they literally called us while we were at dinner. And said they had a bed available and if I could be there in 15 minutes. I said, yes, I am down the street. I will be there in 5 minutes. And so we got there. So that was Friday, December 9th that we get to the hospital. And I had pre-registered, so it didn't take me that long to get checked in. We got our room. And I'm going to be describing each day as 2 days together because everything they were doing was happening overnight and it would just bleed into the next day. So this was Friday, December 9th and Saturday, December 10th. We get all checked in. I get hooked up to all the IVs and all the monitors and everything. And we get kind of settled in. They check me. I was at 2 centimeters. And I think I was like 90% effaced. I had been 2 centimeters for 3 weeks and no progression. So 2 centimeters. So they decided to do, rather than put me on Pitocin right away because I was already at 2 centimeters, they wanted to do Cervidil. And they called the doctor to confirm if that would be a better way of doing it. And he said, yeah, go ahead. So if you don't know what Cervidil is, it's like a medicated strip, like cloth strip, that they wrap up and they shove it up your... By the way, this is going to get detailed. So if you're squeamish, then go ahead and turn on a different video. Anyways, Cervidil is a medicated little cloth strip that gets wrapped up, goes up inside the vagina, and as far up as they can get, as close as they can get to the cervix. You have to lay down for 2 hours at least with it in there. And they will only do this medication twice. So what Cervidil is supposed to do is it's supposed to help soften your cervix and also help it dilate. Like ripen your cervix to help it dilate in a more natural way, even though it's medicated. However, it did not do this for me. What it did is it made my cervix raw. So raw. It was excruciatingly painful. So anytime they would check me to see if I dilated anymore, I had to have medication, pain medication, for them in order to check me, because that's how horrifyingly painful it was when they would just try to put a few fingers up there to check me. They didn't do that till the next day, but they had finally told me, oh, would you like pain medication? After torturing me for like a full day. So anyways, Cervidil can be done every 12 hours, only twice. So twice in a whole day. So the first round of Cervidil did not work. In fact, it did the opposite. So I went in with 2 centimeters. After the first round of Cervidil, I was down to 1 centimeter. And I asked them, how was that possible? How did I revert back down to a 1? And what they said is that Cervidil can cause swelling because the medication is ripening and softening the cervix. It can cause some swelling. So it can make it seem like it's going backwards, but it's just the swelling from being raw. So they said, okay, the first round didn't work. This is 12 hours later, by the way. Let's do another round. Worst thing I ever heard in my life. Because first they had to take it out. They had to wait, I think they waited like an hour or 2 before putting the next one in, which I requested pain medication for that. I think it was like fentanyl or something like that. I don't know what it is, but it is safe to use while pregnant in low dosages. So they gave me some of that, and it kind of made me almost drunk feeling. It kind of made me like kind of woozy. That's the best way I can explain it, is I kind of felt like I was drunk, and just very temporarily for like 10 minutes. Not even, like 5 or 10 minutes. Pretty much enough time for them to do what they needed to do without me screaming in pain. And my poor mother is there crying with me because she's obviously seen her baby go through pain. And it's hard to watch your children, even when they're grown, to go through such pain. And so they put the second round of Cervidil in, and again, it does nothing. And what it did is it created a funnel effect with my cervix. So I was a 1 at the bottom, whereas at the top, they said I was more likely to be like a 3. So there was just so much swelling and ripe. My cervix was so ripe, it was raw. And it didn't dilate me at all. It didn't cause contractions. I hadn't had any like bad contractions. Like I would have little ones every now and then, but then nothing labor intensive. So I had 2 rounds of Cervidil, each 12 hours apart. So I'd already been there for a full day. a little over a day. So now we're going into Saturday the 10th, into Sunday the 11th. They decided to switch up their game. Rather than, obviously they can't do Cervidil anymore, but rather than jumping just straight to Pitocin, they wanted to try something else to help me dilate. And that would be Cytotec, which is a pill form. And this pill is taken up to 4 times in a day. And surprisingly, it did not work. This pill is also supposed to help soften your cervix and induce contractions. So this luckily is not a medication that's put in vaginally. It is taken orally. So I was beyond happy for that and was praying it would work, and it did not. So I had now taken, and I was still having pain every time they checked me, so I still had to take pain medication every time they checked me. So these pills can be taken 4 times in a day, so every 6 hours. So I was given the pill every 6 hours. I had only progressed to 1.5 centimeters. So I had already been there Friday, Saturday, that full day, because it was Friday evening when I went in. So from Friday evening to Saturday evening, I had the Cervidil for 24 hours. It did not work. The next time, it was Saturday through Sunday, 24-hour period. They had done Cytotec pills. All 4 did not work. Then comes Sunday the 11th and Monday the 12th. They decided, you know what? Your body just isn't reacting well to this type of medication. Let's try Pitocin. Maybe we should have tried that the first day, like my birth plan had said. Anyways, so what the doctor wanted to try to do first was to break my water and see how that would work. I was 1.5 centimeters. He didn't know if he could do it, but he would try. So he breaks my water. He didn't think he did. He said he thought he hooked it and left the room, and then there was a huge gush after he left the room. So he was able to break my water. He just didn't realize it. This is whatever doctor was on call. I have not seen my doctor, by the way, yet. I've been there for 2 days, had not seen my personal doctor. So they break my water. This is now Sunday, Monday, that 24-hour period. Sunday evening to like Monday evening. Break my water. Then decide, let's put you on Pitocin after I tried to labor naturally for a little bit without medication on me. And they saw nothing was working. So they put me on Pitocin, and I told them, if you're putting me on Pitocin, I want an epidural paired with that. I've gone through enough pain, and even though it wasn't contraction pain, it was just physical, sensitive, horrifying pain. So they got me on Pitocin. They get me with an epidural. The first epidural did not work. So I was afraid that he said that he would do it again. He tried again because obviously I still had full feeling in my legs, in my belly, in my hips, everything. Nothing was working. And so he's like, let's try it again. But they will not do it more than twice at that hospital. They will not do it a 3rd time. So I was praying. The 2nd time was the charm. So he gets me in. It's the 2nd time now. He's doing it. And I start to feel the tingling in my legs and my belly. So it was actually perfect. I was still able to walk. They didn't want me walking, which was obvious for obvious reasons. But I was still able to feel my legs. So I was able to, the only thing I didn't really feel was like my belly. So when I was having intense contractions from the Pitocin, I wasn't really feeling that. What I felt was like a weird pulsating in like my butt. So anytime I had a really strong contraction, I kind of felt like a cramping pulsating in my butt area. And so we went on for hours with that. And they said, okay, it's time to talk about what will happen if she doesn't want to come through all of this. So what they said was after breaking the water, they would want her to be out within 24 hours because there's a chance of like them pooping and getting infections and things like that. They don't want you to be without that. They don't want them to be without that cushion for so long as well. So he said if she is not out within 24 hours, we will move on to an emergency C-section. I was like, okay, if that's what we have to do, I've already gone this far, so might as well just throw in a C-section while we're at it. So we did so this is still Sunday, Monday, Sunday the 11th, Monday the 12th time frame of 24-hour period. They broke my water at 1.5 centimeters, got me on Pitocin, hooked me up to epidural twice, and talked about the C-section. So now we're rolling into Monday evening. I'm feeling a lot of pressure, and I'm like, I know she's down there. Someone get a doctor. Like, I feel her. So it was maybe only 10 hours with Pitocin and the epidural. And we're now into Tuesday the 13th. And she is finally born. I could not tell you at this moment what time she was born or how much she weighed or how long she was, because that's how out of it I was from going through all that pain, all that torture, all those hours of not sleeping or barely sleeping. I was definitely out of it, and it was not the experience I would have ever wanted. So she's finally born 3 hours before the emergency C-section. It only took me 10 minutes to push her out. They actually had to stop me once I had reached 10 centimeters and her head was there. They had to stop me from pushing because I was such a good pusher, which I'm so glad how my epidural was placed, because I still had that. I was able to feel myself be able to push, which some women aren't able to do. They need a little more assistance when on epidural. But luckily I was able to have that feeling, that control over the pushing. They didn't expect that at all. So they had to tell me to stop pushing for a moment because my daughter's shoulder was stuck under my hip bone. So they had like push her down, pull my hip bone weird, and to be able for me to continue pushing. And so when she was born, I was so scared her shoulder was displaced, like a displaced shoulder. It scared the heck out of me. Her shoulder still crackles to this day, so I do think there was something there that caused that kind of issue, but it doesn't cause her any pain now, so I think she was okay. But yeah, 10 minutes, I pushed that baby out, and finally we were able to enjoy her. And unfortunately, I was unable to... Hey guys, sorry, I was interrupted by my husband getting home early, and he always makes fun of me for the videos, so I don't like filming in front of him, so I cut it real quickly. But to continue on about not able to lactate or breastfeed, that's because I had a breast reduction in high school, and the scarring and surgery caused damage to my glands as well as my ducts. So I knew that there was going to be a possible issue breastfeeding, but I did not realize that I wouldn't be able to breastfeed like at all. I had joined a lactation group through Facebook who had similar surgeries or even breast augmentation, and to get more support from them to see what they did, and they kind of got me onto supplementing, pumping schedules, as well as lactation consultant from the hospital tried to work with me. But she even said, you know, when it comes to things like surgeries causing damage, normally you can't reverse that type of issue. What I was trying to at least do was get the colostrum for my daughter from me. I didn't realize this, but I knew the hospital I delivered at was breastfeeding friendly. What I didn't realize is they would not give you formula. So we didn't have any formula with us. I was so exhausted and tired that I didn't even try to put up a fight for them to provide it. They said they only provided it to the NICU babies. All other mothers needed to breastfeed or provide their own. And I was so exhausted. My husband and I were so exhausted. We didn't even think about having someone run out and go get formula for our child, because we thought we were going to leave that day after having her. We had her early in the morning, so we thought maybe we would just have to stay, a night. And it had already been that full day, that Monday the 13th, of me trying to breastfeed and it going nowhere, with my daughter screaming because she's starving. And so we thought we'd be going home the next day. We can get formula on the way home and be able to, take care of her. Well, it turns out they want to keep you at least 24 hours. So we had to stay there 2 nights. And again, we weren't prepared for that, so we didn't get formula, and I wasn't even thinking. I don't know why, but I kept thinking maybe it'll happen. Maybe I'll get my letdown. Maybe I'll be able to produce milk for her. And I just wasn't even thinking about going out and getting formula. And so my child was literally starving. The hospital wouldn't give us any formula. And they just kept saying, oh, just keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. She's good latcher, and it looks like she's getting something, but it wasn't enough. And she was screaming the entire time we were there. And they kept coming in, oh, do you need help with her? Do you need assistance with her? I'm like, get the freak out of my room. I can handle my child. I am doing everything I can humanly possibly do, and what you can do is just tell me you are not going to provide something that she needs. And also, no surprise, she was jaundice. So she had jaundice, not high enough to get blanket treatment, but not low enough to just be able to go home right away. So they wanted to keep her a little bit longer, not release her just yet, just to see if her levels would go up and need the blanket, which I wish they had just done, so we wouldn't have to suffer and have her suffer. So she had to have her heel pricked a couple times while we were there. And then after we were released, oh, by the way, if my sister came to visit and my cousin came to visit in the hospital, they were both breastfeeding their children. I had them breastfeed my daughter. That's how desperate I was to feed her. I just said, please take her, please breastfeed her. You don't need to bring me milk or anything. Just put her on your boob. You let her eat. And thank God, because I'm going to get emotional. It was so horrible. I was starving my child. And that's what it felt like. And she was oh my gosh, just horrifying. And I could not give her the one thing that you would think that you should be able to provide your child by breastfeeding. And so, anyways, the next day or so, we went home on a Thursday. Just remember, I went in this hospital on a Friday. I didn't leave till Thursday, the following week on a Thursday. We were there for almost an entire week. Anyways, this time we're not going to even take the chance. We will be bringing formula to the hospital regardless of anyone says, and we will not be pushed around by the lactation consultants, because they are pushy at the hospital. Because they're supposed to. They're supposed to try to make you want to breastfeed your child. Well, guess what? I can't. I know I can't, and I'm not going to have anyone tell me otherwise. And because I've gone through enough of the emotions, enough of the pain, enough of seeing my daughter in pain over it, to know that the best thing for our family is to supplement with formula. I am fully supportive of breastfeeding, by the way. If I could do it, that's what I would be doing. If you can do it, you should. I mean, you really should. But if you're choosing not to and you want to just do formula, you know what? Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because feeding your child is what's going to make them happy and healthy, and that needs to be done any way possible, no matter which way you do it. So we will be formula feeding. We're bringing formula to the hospital, and I'm not going to be pushed around by the nurses or lactation consultants, as well as the doctors towards my birth plan, because that was another thing that was screwed up, was my birth plan. I could have only been there for 10 hours with just Pitocin and epidural, and I let them convince me to try all these other ways. And not even just let them convince me, they kept saying, well, this is what your doctor has told us to do. That's not going to fly this time. Nope, not this time. I will not be in a hospital for a week being induced. I will not be in labor for 76 hours. 76 hours. I was in the hospital being tortured, dilated, freaking chemical burned my cervix, which I still have had horrible pain since. Like, sex has never been comfortable since my daughter was born. Ever since that procedure they've done with the Cervidil. And I know that, and that's why I have such sensitive Braxton Hicks now. Whenever I contract a little bit, I know that's why I have, and him being so low, that constant pressure on my cervix is painful, and I know it's because of that. So I will be, again, if I have to be induced, I will be saying, I will be doing Pitocin, and I will be doing epidural. Thank you. So just remember, do not lose your voice when you are going into labor, or when it comes to the birth plan for your child. Do not lose that voice at all, because they will try to convince you, sometimes otherwise. Not many doctors want to listen to each mother's birth plan. They just kind of want to get in, do what they need to do, and get out. My doctor I saw one time for 5 minutes the entire 6 days I was there. One time. And he was not the doctor that delivered me. So I have a new doctor with a new practice at a new hospital. So do what you need to do to make your birth plan happen. There will be issues. Sometimes there will be issues and you have to revert to something else in an emergency situation, but let that be the only reason why. It is an emergency situation where it needs to be changed. Mine was not an emergency situation until they made it that way almost. So I just thank God that I didn't have to have a C-section done. So that is the birth story of my daughter. Just hopefully we'll have a birth story soon with our son. He's due any moment now, so hopefully he comes naturally, but if not, I'll be induced on the 15th. So stay tuned for that, you guys. So just go ahead, if you like this video at all, go ahead and like it. I'm sorry it was lengthy. It was a lengthy 6 days in the hospital, so with her. So you guys have a great day. That is the birth story of our daughter. Just hang tight for hopefully in the next week or so for our sons, you guys. So see you next time. Bye.